I see the rhythm of our beginnings. I feel the pulse of the people and a land in harmony.
I see the rhythm of ragtime in our fine top hats and gowns. We celebrate our newfound freedom with ballroom dances and festive jubilee.
I see the rhythm of bebop, the music of those jazz hipsters who refuse to play the dance rhythms of swing and experiment.
I see the rhythm
with
of hip-hop
sound
dig its way out with a shout from the urban underground of boomboxes and block parties to hit the top of the charts.
Through the words and images of one book and with the guidance of 3 talented artists, students at Buckner Performing Arts Magnet Elementary went on a musical journey through African American history, reinforcing language arts, social studies, and math skills along the way. The project, sponsored by Arts Partners, used the book I See the Rhythm with paintings by Michelle Wood and text by Toyomi Igus as the starting point for 3 very different works of art created by the students. I See the Rhythm follows the history of African American music from its origins in Africa all the way to hip-hop. The book includes timelines of events that influenced the way the music developed and tells about the people and places that made the music great. The students were introduced to the book and learned about the many musical styles it covers, including slave songs, the blues, ragtime, jazz, gospel, rock, and funk.
Geography became an element of it, looking at migration from Africa here into the United States, and how did the music move from one part of the United States to various regions, and why did that happen, and what were some of the key things that caused the music to change from slave songs to blues music, and then into jazz, and even later into rock and hip hop.
They get very, very interested in the historical aspect of this whole thing, and they really start to get a sense of how the music influences the history influences music, and they really get interested in the events that were going on at the time certain musics were created. And then, of course, the integration of the music from one to the next, they start to really see that connection, how one style of music affects the next, and when you can begin to see the very old styles in the current music.
After learning about the music and the book, each 4th grade class began working on projects influenced by I See the Rhythm. One class worked with drummer Matt Mulholland and music teacher Marion Latimer to create a percussion piece using everyday objects to recreate the rhythms of Africa. Another class worked with dancer Nick Johnson and drama teacher Denise Jackson Simon to create a dramatization of the book. And yet another class worked with artist Steve Atwood and art teacher Matt Buckingham to create a sculpture depicting the various musical styles, which would be used as a set piece in the final performance and would later be installed permanently at the school. The classes then came together for one final performance showcasing their work. One 4th grade class was charged with the task of interpreting the book I See the Rhythm through movement and dance. With the help of Nick Johnson from Wichita State University School of Dance, the students presented their audience with 400 years of African American history.
Nick comes in and works with me, and what he does is put together a little tableau or a little dramatization to tell the story of that particular style of music, and it goes somewhat with the words. Some of them do go right along with the poetry, some of it's a little more abstract.
The students learned about the dance styles that were popular with each style of music and learned more about what life was like for people in each time period. They learned about what influenced each musical style, whether it was slavery, newfound freedoms, the Great Depression, the Civil Rights Movement, or war. They learned about the people and events that shaped the musical styles, and they reinforced what they learned through movement and dance.
Well, the kids, they gained so much. This particular group is so well behaved, and I think, and just so excited about it. So they would come in excited, they were ready to listen, they were ready to get it, they were so focused and just excited about what they were going to do next. That was just beautiful. They loved working with Nick. He brings so much. I mean, he's a dancer, he's a mime, he just has so much experience and knowledge and expertise. So a lot of that I have not had. So I learned so much from him and working with him.
Another fourth grade class set to work using the musical styles from the book I See the Rhythm as the inspiration for a work of art. Sculptor Steve Atwood came in to help the kids transform their ideas into one work of art.
One of the first things we did when Steve came out to work with our kids is he brought a whole collection of his work and did a whole presentation on the kinds of things that he's doing with sculpture.
The class also spent time looking at the work of other artists to see how they could convey the idea of rhythm in their work. After all, the students would be creating their own artwork about music and rhythm. Students then broke into groups, and each group was assigned a musical style to use as the inspiration for their work.
As each sort of group of kids, 2 or 3 kids to a group, looked at a passage in the book, they looked for ways that they might interpret that visually, and we began with a series of drawings. And then based on their drawings, then we developed some different panels for this final project that you see behind me.
The students designed their panels, which were made of 1/8 inch masonite, and painted them, using a limited palette in order to make the final product look like one cohesive piece of art. They also drew some elements on smaller sheets of masonite, which were then cut out, painted, and attached to the panels to give it a more three-dimensional look. Finally, the panels were mounted together and given a few extra flourishes to create a beautiful backdrop for Buckner's stage. And through it all, Steve Atwood was there to lend a hand.
He worked with our kids here in helping them develop their ideas, helped with working on the construction and the painting, cutting out various pieces and helping kids do the assembly. So, you know, his help was invaluable.
The last fourth grade class used the book I See the Rhythm as the inspiration for a musical piece. They looked to the rhythms of Africa to create a stomp-style percussion performance with the help of Matt Mulholland from Friends University.
He came in and he worked with one of the fourth grade classes and the music teacher, Marion Latimer, and he did a lot of things with patterning and echoing. He would play something and have the students echo it, and it'd either be with their bodies or he used a variety of different instruments.
The students started out by echoing Matt's rhythms with their hands and feet. They stomped their feet, clapped their hands, and patted their stomachs in whatever rhythms they heard. They made loud sounds and soft sounds, stomping sounds and swooshing sounds, using only their bodies as their instruments. The students then got the chance to see what kind of noises they can make with regular household items, such as pots, pans, sticks, and buckets, once again echoing the rhythms that Matt played for them. Finally, the students were divided into groups and taught different rhythms. The trick was learning to play all of the rhythms simultaneously without messing up. The students were even given the chance to come up with their own rhythm and allowed to perform a solo. The kids thoroughly enjoyed the chance to do a different kind of musical performance while reinforcing the patterning and sequencing skills that are so important to math.
They had a lot of fun with it. They were excited about it. You know, again, just the nature of the project was different than something that they'd been involved with.
After weeks of designing, choreographing, painting, dancing, stomping, and rehearsing, the 3 groups of students were ready to show off what they had learned.
In our final performance, it was kind of an artistic happening. The visual arts piece served as the backdrop for the entire sort of staging of what was happening. We had the actual dramatic performance, and then we also had an entire percussion piece that went along with it also. So it was really quite a dynamic and exciting presentation. The audience was thrilled. I mean, standing ovation, very excited, and the kids just did an outstanding job. The level of focus was just amazing, and the energy. It was a very exciting project.
Throughout the I See the Rhythm project, students learned skills that would help them in other areas of the curriculum. Whether they were learning about social studies through the historical timelines detailed in the book, or language arts through choral reading of the book's poetry, or math in the patterns of percussion, the students became engaged in the subject matter through the arts.
We have found, teaching through the arts here at Buckner, that pulling in all of those things to the core curriculum, finding ways to teach mathematics, reading, writing, all of those things through the arts has really been a very strong benefit to our students. Some students do learn through reading a book or writing a paper. We find that many of our students, though, also learn very well through movement, through engagement in a visual activity, through a music activity. We know that there's lots of different styles of learning, and I think, the more different ways that you can engage a student in learning, the more likely that learning is to stick.
The students also benefited by having the Arts Partners artists step in to help out, giving them a different view of the subject matter.
It's just wonderful to pull the outside artist in because they have a different approach with children, they have a different background knowledge, a different experience. So it's really beneficial for the kids to get another person in the particular discipline to work with them to bring what they have and who they are to the project. It's just a freshness and a new approach and just neat people to work with. The artists are just really wonderful people. So that alone is just a real joy.
I think over the years we found that our program has been very successful because we've been able to give our students a number of experiences with challenging material, approaching it in a variety of different ways so that the information really sticks. Working with arts partners and having other artists come in and help us do that kind of thing is such an important part of that experience, and we've been very fortunate and very excited to be able to have that happen here.
All in all, the I See the Rhythm project was a great way to get students excited about African American history. The teachers at Buckner, together with Arts Partners artists, were able to use one book to inspire a wide array of activities to truly engage kids in the learning process.
Arts Partners has really been an excellent vehicle to kind of help us do some of these very special projects that really get our kids excited, not only about the arts, but even just about coming to school. I had kids telling me, I can't wait to get to school today because I know I'm going to be working on this project.
And the rhythm lives on in me.
For more information about the benefits of using the arts across the curriculum, contact Arts Partners at 316-262-4771. Wichita's Arts Partners is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing opportunities for students to learn in and through the arts. Arts Partners' mission is to enhance children's learning by integrating the arts into the pre-kindergarten through 12th grade curriculum in collaboration with educational, civic, and cultural organizations.